And welcome to Recovery Report Live. I'm Dan Odess, president of GlobalPro, where we manage risk to recovery, and we have managed more than $1 billion in recovery and helped thousands of community associations and business owners alike place insurance and rebuild from loss and damage. We have an incredible episode for you today. We're going to bring on Rob from our Texas office with our special guest to talk about some of our community efforts and the tragedy that is going on in Texas as we speak. But the community is coming together and helping each other recover from that loss or damage. But before we get there, I wanted to use this segment, and because we are bringing on these special guests to talk about this situation, to talk about business owners getting involved in the community and what that has meant for GlobalPro and some of the strategy that I have used to make a bigger impact on our community. First of all, there are great trade organizations and also professional organizations out there that if you're not involved in, particularly as a small business owner, I highly recommend it. Some of the strategy in joining these organizations that I use is I want to figure out where there is less attention and more of an impact that I can make on it. Why? Well, first of all, it's a great opportunity to help your community in any sort of way, whether it's from an economic standpoint or a charitable angle. Now, all of your trade and professional organizations, most often, I can't say all, let me correct my statement, most of them focus both on the economic impacts as well as the community involvement. But if they're not making community involvement, maybe that's one place where you can make an impact and make a name for yourself and also shed light on what your company is doing to be part of solutions to become a pillar of that community. So when I go and interview and meet the individuals that are running or operating those organizations, I want to know about their vision. I want to understand about their goals. What are their core values and focus? And does it align with me and my business, right? Don't just join an organization because someone says you can get a lot of leads or business out of it. Because the reality of it is that unless you're going to actually get involved in that organization and believe in what they're doing, you're just there handing out business cards. And there's other organizations that are there for that reason, such as BNI. You know, when you're looking at a professional or trade organization, you're looking for something that's involved in the community that can help the economy, that can help individuals in and around immediate area in doing whatever it is or accomplishing whatever goals that may align with also your business. And it's really important that it aligns with your business, your ideals, and your focus and your core values and your mission with your business itself. Why? Because you'll stay interested. Sometimes what I see with individuals that join organizations for which I'm on the board of, who come in, don't go through the interview process of asking me questions or any of my fellow board members questions, is that they burn out because they're not as interested. Their interests, their values, and everything else I've just already mentioned don't align with our mission and our core values and the goals for the organization. And if your ideals don't align with it, again, you're going to burn out, you're not going to stay interested, and you're not going to make the impact, and it's not going to help you. It's not going to help you either get to the next level with your community involvement or for your business growth, whatever may be your strategy for joining the organization, it's going to fall flat. It's going to be a total waste of money. And I also see another don't is spreading yourself thin. I see a lot of small business owners, even middle or even large organizations who just don't invest in their marketing teams or their business development teams and give them the bandwidth or the number of people they need in order to stay involved in all of the organizations that they join and pay for. Well, what's the point of that? Just getting your name on some paper or getting that new member invite and that email blast, whatever it may be that you get initially, that initial burst is going to fall flat. It's not going to make an impact. So don't spread yourself thin. So if you're a small business owner, act like a small business owner. Find an organization that aligns with everything that aligns with everything we just discussed, but also fully immerse yourself in what they're doing and get involved. Don't just look for that initial burst and plan it out, right? So when you're looking at your strategy and goals for your business, include the strategy and goals of that organization within your plan. Why? Because so you can stay involved and so that it goes on the calendar so you don't miss events, so you don't accomplish whatever it is that you set out to do in the purpose of joining those organizations. Make sure you don't do that thing, and also make sure you don't spread yourself thin, but also make sure that you're planning accordingly. Making sure that you're involving yourselves in the planning of the organization is one thing, but making sure that the planning of that is also in line with what you're trying to accomplish with your business, and you're setting aside time for doing those things. It's really important. And we've done such a tremendous job here at GlobalPro in doing that throughout the years for the last 10 years. We even launched our own charitable foundation, GlobalPro Cares. We've delivered food and water and clothing to various different parts of the country that have been impacted by a lot of this disaster, but also we've been involved on the professional side with the lobbying efforts for the insurance adjusting industry, as well as the management industry, the property management industry. I've been tremendously involved in a number of chambers, whether it was on throughout the Gulf Coast and up the Atlantic Coast areas, and changing laws and helping and actually going to Washington, D.C. to meet with our Senate and Congress to see what they need in order to make a positive impact on our community while they are doing this at a distance, right? So they're not hearing and seeing it firsthand. A lot of the information they get in Washington, D.C. and some of these other legislating bodies is at a distance, and a lot of times they're hearing it from special interest groups, and so you want to make sure you have a voice in that. So in order to do those things, kind of getting back to one of my earlier statements, is making sure you're setting aside enough time to be able to do those things is so important to ensure that your investment in that organization is going all the way and is actually is doing something. It is adding a benefit to not only yourself, but also the community. Again, it's great to support these organizations by becoming members because they need the fees to be able to do all the amazing things that they do. But if you don't stay involved, if you don't get into the committees and on the boards, again, it's not going to make the impact. It's not going to make an impact not only on your business, but also the community itself. So honestly, I think it's a total waste. And so without wasting it, make sure that you take the time to plan accordingly, allocate your time, make sure that your investment's worth it, but also making sure that the organizations you are joining align with all of your ideals, your core values, the focus of your business, and your mission is so, so important. And with that being said, I want to bring on our special guest today. We have Mr. Bowlby, our market president in Texas. Thank you for joining us. And we have Maria Mills with an amazing organization. I don't want to steal her thunder, but I do want to find out all about her amazing organization and what is going on in Texas. So I'm going to throw it over to Maria to tell us a little bit about Sharing Life, your role within the organization, and all the great things that you are doing there in Texas.
Hi, yes. So I'm Maria Mills. I'm the Community Engagement Associate for Sharing Life. We are a nonprofit in Mesquite, but we serve about 35 zip codes within our community. Our mission is to end hunger and poverty by demonstrating compassion, and we have multiple services, not just to feed people, but to end the cycle of poverty. So we have educational programs, we help with utility payments, we have food and clothing, we can get job placements, resume building, interview skills. And so, like I said, the goal really is to get people out of poverty and not, just kind of help them with their long-term goals financially and with their education.
That's amazing. So I know, Rob, you were saying hello there for a minute, and I kind of cut you off and kind of talked right through it. But Maria, tell us a little bit about how you started with Sharing Life. Like, why did you pick Sharing Life?
So actually, it was sort of full circle. I used to work with the Dallas Morning News in advertising, and Sharing Life was one of our DMN charities. The church that we share a building with it's my home church. It's where we raised our daughter in, and so it was sort of full circle. When I decided to leave advertising, I wanted to do something that meant a little bit more than just placing ads and doing that. And so I found myself at Sharing Life about a year ago.
Well, congratulations. Rob tells me so many great things and has been sharing with me the adventure you guys have been on there, because of the fire, which we'll get to, talk a little bit about that and some of your local efforts there, whatever else. Rob, it's obviously always awesome to have you on, and I know you're there at Sharing Life with Maria. I guess just tell us a little bit about the experience that you have had and some of the things that you have been doing with working with Sharing Life.
Sure, Dan. So this was kind of our first charity activation event in Texas since we launched in Texas last year. And so we learned a lot, but I don't think we could have had a better organization to partner with than Sharing Life for a couple reasons. One, they're not that big. And that works really well from just an ability to be nimble and get stuff done. So we met them on Tuesday when we came down here. The fires happened Monday evening. We headed over to the rec center and met Kimberly Onofre. She's in charge of all the housing, trying to get housing for the families that were completely displaced by the fire. She directed us over to the Opal J. Smith Food Pantry, which is where I met Maria. And it was interesting to watch the community react quickly. And so we showed up, as we always do, and just said, what can we do to help? Do you need food? Do you need clothes? And they said, well, we need all those things, but what we really need are volunteers, which I didn't have an appreciation of until my assistant Lauren and I showed up the next day. And I mean, the community was just dropping off food and clothing faster than we could figure out how to process it. And so that was the nice thing about having an organization like Sharing Life, because they could just throw a few more people at it. If we needed a big truck, they got us a big truck. We went to Home Depot and bought bins to sort the food with, bought racks to sort the clothing with. And we spent about 2 days just sorting stuff there. And then we realized over time that the families weren't finding us, just as you would expect when you're displaced from your home. You just, you're kind of scatterbrained. You're trying to deal with the shock of it all. So then with Sharing Life support, we went over and set up kind of what I would call a mini food pantry at the Hampton Inn, where we were housing Sharing Life and the Hampton Inn was helping house 26 families.
That's awesome. That's so good, man. It's I've been on the ground in so many disasters, and truly I applaud all of your efforts, Maria and Rob. It's sometimes tough, right? It's hot out there. Rob was telling me about the heat wave that was rolling through there and how hot it was outside. Those are challenging conditions. They really are. And when you're there to help, it's just so much more meaningful because, people are just so in dire need of assistance and help. So again, Maria, and to your entire organization, fantastic job. And it's so awesome to have you on today to talk about this stuff. But I want to get into a couple things because I want people to learn a little bit about what are the things, some of the things that are some of the challenges of the community. So Maria, for you, what are some of the challenges that community is facing right now? And how do you think that the community can rally and support them more so even than there are today?
Yeah, so I think the challenges are when you have 26 homes who have damage from, just smoke damage and water damage to half of the house being burned or total loss. You have a number of different scenarios with insurance. Some had no renters insurance, some had renters insurance, some are homeowners, renters. And so it makes it a little bit more complicated for us to, kind of filter through and figure out what we need to do to support them and what we need, how much financial assistance they'll need from Sharing Life. The community's been amazing. I don't even know what more they could do. They truly, from day one, came out to support the families. And so now last week we were in a little bit of a disaster mode, trying to place these families, figure out what immediate needs are. And now we're in kind of a recovery mode where we're figuring out who needs housing, who, just needs to stay out of their home for a few weeks to let the smoke clear. And so once we have those needs figured out and we start creating a list of everybody being placed in homes, it's easier for us to come up with a list of, we have this many families needing mattresses or beds or new clothing. And so once we kind of get that list together, right now, the majority of what we've been asking for are gift cards to restaurants. These families are living in a hotel right now. And so our goal is to get them at least one meal that is not microwaved. And it's tough when they're not able to work right now. They don't have a kitchen. And so they don't have the basic necessities to cook full meals. And so that's the goal for us right now.
So restaurant cards. Now, is there a particular restaurant or a place that people can purchase these? Is there any recommendations that you have there?
Not really. Again, with 26 families, you have different tastes. People like certain restaurants. We've really just been divvying out the gift cards that we get just amongst the families. And they're so humbled by it and so grateful for everything that they've gotten so far from our community. So these can be purchased at restaurants. A lot of Walmarts, Targets have, the gift card booths where you can purchase from multiple restaurants.
And by the way, just for any audience that is tuned in today, go ahead and check out GlobalPro.com and go to the news section. If you click there, we just recently put up a post which has all the information about Sharing Life, as well as some images of the disaster situation if you're not familiar with it. It talks about our efforts in working with Sharing Life and all the great things that Sharing Life is doing. So I'm going to mention that a couple times in the broadcast, but check it out at globalpro.com. Click on the top news section, and you'll see the first post there is all about this fire and everything that Sharing Life is doing. So if you want to get involved, and we completely encourage you to do it, do what you can. Small donations go a long way. I'm sure Maria would agree. So any little bit you can give to help this community that has been damaged by this tragedy, definitely check it out. Again, globalpro.com, hit the news section. You'll see the post right there. You're looking for the top one about the Balch fire. So let's get into the weeds a little bit, because I do want this also not only to highlight the efforts of Sharing Life and GlobalPro and working together at charity, but I also want it to be informative, right, Rob? And you're seeing some complications and some issues on the insurance side. I'd like to highlight a few of those. What are you seeing, and what is some of the strategy for dealing with it?
Sure. Well, let me back up just a second, because one thing you said earlier was there's a heat wave rolling through Texas. I don't think rolling is the correct term.
Sorry.
And it's a big deal, because we
Fair
are
enough.
closing our 30th or 35th day of 100 plus degree temperatures, and our 30 to 35th day without any rain. Which, we're in a lot of markets, but two of our biggest are Florida and Texas. And so this time of year in Florida, it rains almost every day. This time of year in Texas, it just flat out doesn't rain for long periods of time. And so, in fact, even driving over here this morning on the highway, that they have big signs that, we currently are in extreme wildfire danger. And I know we've all heard about the California wildfires, but this is really starting to become an issue in Texas. And for those that hadn't followed the story, really the cause of this was a city employee was mowing a large vacant lot behind this subdivision, and the lawnmower hit a rock or something and sparked, and the whole field caught on fire and then destroyed the front row of housing in the subdivision. So that's kind of what caused this. And just something I didn't think about as we went into Texas is how much fire we're going to have to deal with if we continue to have these extreme heat conditions. Now, Dan, as you said, we spent, so after we got the food pantry thing squared away, we spent Friday and Saturday just sitting down with homeowners, reviewing their policies, helping them print them, helping them contact the insurance agency if they need to. And we did see a few things that I kind of wanted to bring up. And the first thing I would do is encourage everyone to just get out your policy and read it and make sure you have the coverage you think you have. Maria mentioned there were several families that rented there, and we had people that opted out of the renter's insurance coverage in the lease, and so they had no coverage whatsoever. And we had people sign up for the minimum of $20,000 or $50,000. And when you're in an 1,800 to 3,000 square foot house, that $50,000 isn't going a long way if you've lost all of your possessions. I think when people buy renter's insurance, they think kind of a water pipe break or flood damage, and it won't be a total loss. But all of these people were facing a total loss and were in fact underinsured. But even for the homeowners, we saw policies where people just insured the amount of their mortgage. And we had some homeowners who'd done a great job of saving and paying down that mortgage and had mortgages less than $100,000. And so they had $100,000 of coverage on a $300,000 home. And so they've lost that equity. We saw people that had no personal property coverage, no additional living expense coverage. They opted for the cheapest policy. And we've talked about that on this program many times, that the cheapest premium is rarely the best insurance coverage for your family's needs. So, we saw some heartbreaking stories when we actually dug in and helped people review their insurance. We have encouraged all of them to contact us. We did all of this insurance review pro bono. Particularly those that have smoke damage. And I'm going to turn this back to you because you've seen more of these than I have. But I think when we get into kind of some of the partial losses, you've had a little bit of fire damage, or you've had water damage, or you've had smoke damage. I think that's where these people are going to end up being or getting kind of a lowball offer from the insurance company.
Yeah, and it's a great point, Robbie. Something that I have dealt with extensively, particularly with the California wildfires. We saw a lot of insurers take the position to that the smoke in and itself may not have caused damage, and if it did, it's some minimal pressure washing, but it's just not true. This smoke has a way of finding its way into attic spaces, into your HVAC systems, into your fabric materials, whether it's your rugs, your carpets, your bed linens, things like that. And in a lot of situations, it's very toxic. Because what's burning in and around you are synthetic materials. There may be even fuel in it that further accelerates the fire, such as propane, or there may be types of paints that are burning that are very toxic. And those things travel within the smoke and the soot and settle in and around your home and on your house. Particularly, I mean, I'd be very concerned if you're in the near proximity of the homes that did burn and you have young children. The type of chemical cleaning that you need to do, the ozone treatments and the ways in which you need to treat both the inside and outside of your house is very critical to ensuring that you have protected the health and safety of not only yourself, but also of your friends, your family, and guests, whoever else comes to your property in the near future. So it's important that you do an extensive investigation into the extent to which your property was damaged by the smoke and soot. And again, that's just because the fire was across the street and there's no actual burn marks on your house doesn't mean you weren't damaged by it. And again, you need to check everything: the roofs, the exterior cladding of the home, your windows, your cars, the HVAC systems. All of these things need to be tested, and there needs to be a deep investigation into it, and any of that can be claimed. Now, as it relates to whether or not your insurance company is covered, that's yet to be seen, and each policy is uniquely different, as Rob just mentioned. There's many various different types of coverages for these things, whether there may be limitations or flat-out exclusions for things that you may be claiming. That needs to be on a one-off basis, needs to looked at. And I know Rob is doing an incredible job there at doing some pro bono work. I was on the phone with him on a near daily basis. Our team and our various different offices were looking at the policies and helping him get through some of those policy forms a lot faster. It's something that we do here at GlobalPro, something that we've been trained to do, and something we've been doing for nearly 10 years. So definitely look around. A real simple way and test for some of this stuff is take a sterile white cloth and walk around your home and rub it across the casings around your doors and windows. Look for your blinds and shades. Do the same thing, but don't reuse the same sterile cloth. Get several sterile cloths or swabs of it, cut them up, and start to wipe around. If you see a black residue, it's a good indication that there is something there. Now, that doesn't mean it's in fact smoke or from the fire itself, but you can take that information. There are testing facilities. It's relatively inexpensive to do, and you can actually get it done. And if you need any information to be able to do that on your own, obviously we can provide it to you, but we would encourage you to reach out, let us know how we can help you, and point you in the right direction. Sometimes going it alone when you don't know much about insurance, it certainly can run into a lot of roadblocks and cause unforeseen delays and limitations in whatever it is that you're going to make a claim for. So be careful of these things. You simply go Google and look up all the policyholder complaints as it relates to the California wildfires. And believe me, there's a lot of things that you would think that seem pretty straightforward and that your insurance company should be there to help you. But these are businesses, and a lot of the decision makers, unfortunately, are not there locally with you. That's why we're bringing on Maria in the local area to talk about what's going on in that local community, what's impacting them there, because a lot of the information that we see in the press and media news is a take on it. It's someone's opinion of the matter. It's not typically someone that's actually there on the ground experiencing and seeing it firsthand. And unfortunately, on the insurance side, the decision makers are almost never the person that comes out to the properties on behalf of the insurance company. Rarely will you ever see that. It's almost always information that is sent to someone in another state or country that is making decisions, and they're typically making it based on spreadsheets, based on numbers, and quite frankly, and honestly, not always based on the facts and circumstances at your actual location. So for that reason, spend the time to look around your property, check these things, do a quick test of it. If you think you have it or whatever else, then we need to take the next steps as to making the claim and making it properly, noticing it properly. Don't minimize your damages. You don't know what you don't know. And if you're not an expert in insurance, construction, or otherwise, take a step back and realize your situation, that you're underserved and that you need assistance at that moment. So, Rob, I don't know if the lights went out there for you guys, but things changed. It's all right. We got a little motion there, but we're still with you guys. We're still excited for everything that you're all doing there and how you're helping the community. Maria, how can the audience find out more about Sharing Life and get involved in what you all are doing?
Yes, so they can just go to our website. It's www.sharing.life. We have social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So we post a ton about what we're doing there. I did want to say about Rob, too, just kind of going back to him helping our clients. He was literally in the middle of our food pantry kind of talking. He overheard me saying, oh, well, these clients, they're not covered because of this. And something kind of clicked. And he was like, that doesn't sound right. I'm going to set up a table and I'm going to go look at their policies and try to figure out what's going on and what they really have. And so I think just having that was a big help for our clients, because right after a disaster, they're getting business cards thrown at them. Call me, we can do this, we can do that. And so to have somebody who had their interest as far as insurance policies and really reviewing them to just get the best idea of what they have and what they're covered for was big help. So we're grateful for GlobalPro for being there.
Thank you. No, thank you for the opportunity. And again, it's just part of our culture here. We always do the same, and it was amazing to have Rob down there dedicate time away from his family and everything else, and to make sure that we're giving back. And as the founder of GlobalPro, I'm encouraged by it. It's exciting, and it's consistent with my beliefs. And I talked earlier in the intro segment about aligning yourself with charitable organizations or trade organizations that have those same opinions. We first had lights, now we have no camera, but we're still here. We can hear you guys, but the lights have turned off. But it's been awesome to have both Maria and Rob on today to talk about these important issues. We're very grateful for the time that Maria has taken to be with us today. And if you want to find out more about what Sharing Life is doing and how they're helping the community, again, go to globalpro.com, click the news section. You'll see the post there. And Rob provided us a lot of information about Sharing Life. Maria, it was incredible to have her on to talk about what she's doing, why she got involved in an organization, and how it honestly aligns with a lot of what we believe here and what we're doing at GlobalPro every day and what we have been doing for the last 10 years. Right? And so if you like our broadcast, you like our information, you haven't already hit that subscribe button, you're a little bit behind, and I'll give you the opportunity to do it just right now. If you're checking this out on social media, make sure you're liking and following us on all our outlets. And again, globalpro.com, check out the news section, find out all about the great things that Sharing Life and GlobalPro are doing to help the victims of this fire in Texas. It's been an incredible opportunity to have on Sharing Life and Maria to talk all about it. And we'll be back next week, same place, same time, right here on the Recovery Report Live. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We'll see you next week, right here on the Recovery Report Live.